Hi, everyone. I'm Sophia Lorey, and welcome back to This is a Woman podcast. Today on the episode, we have the story of two 8th grade girls and their moms who are at the Temecula Valley School District. These are the girls that have been forced to share a locker room with a male. These are the girls and the moms who came together to plan the walkout at James L. Day Middle School in Temecula, California. I'm sure plenty of you guys have seen the videos of all the students with the signs outside the school. They were wearing Save Girls sports bracelets. And at the end of the day, they were just saying, we are in middle school, we are 8th graders, and we do not want to have to share our spaces with males. And so they are actually coming on the podcast on this episode to share their story for the first time so you guys can hear directly from them what is happening at their school, why they're standing against it, and what their goal is, what they're hoping to have. But before we have them on, I wanted to make sure you guys all knew what the situation is and what is going on. Because again, I'm sure you've seen some of these viral posts on social media, including the post of the high school history teacher stating that she knows she's on the right side of history. She wants males and female spaces, and she teaches history. That's how she knows she's on the right side of history. That video has gone viral. Videos of the students are all over the place. So let's break down what is really happening at Temecula Valley Unified School District. So right now, school just started back up, and we were made aware of the fact that there is a male who is changing out for PE in the girls' locker room. Let's think about the fact that this is not high school, this is not college, which it's not okay in those situations either, but this is middle school. Now, middle school girls, 8th grade, 7th grade girls are having to endure this situation. And so what is going on is the Temecula Valley School District, they were actually working to introduce a new board policy. And this parents became aware of this board policy because they got phone calls from their daughters that there's a male in the girls' locker room, which again, mind you, that is because in 2013, California, they passed the state law, AB 1266. It was signed into law by Governor Jerry Brown. And AB 1266 from 2013 is which states that males can use locker rooms, restrooms, or play on sports teams based on their gender identity and not their biological sex. So of course, we're now seeing this finally start to happen after COVID, after the sex ed system that's put in place in California, after the trans ideology that's being pushed across social media, pushed by teachers, pushed in schools. We're now finally starting to see this play out, but it has been law since 2013. This year, 2025, was the first time we had any state legislators try to undo this law. So mind you, it took 12 years for state legislators to get bold enough to try to undo this law. So we saw that from Assemblywoman Kate Sanchez with AB 89. We also saw it with Assemblymember Bill Asaley. He's no longer in the California Assembly. He is now working in the administration. He's an attorney, and so we saw that. We saw the Democrats at the California Capitol kill those two bills that were going to make sure that girls can have their safe sports and safe spaces. So I wanted to make sure you guys were aware this isn't just the district's fault. What is going on? There is a state law in place, but we should push back against bad state laws. We should push back against laws that say that girls need to suck it up and deal with the fact that there's males in their locker rooms and in their spaces and in their restrooms on sports teams. It's not safe. It's not common sense to allow that, and we need to stand up for girls. So what is Temecula Valley Unified School District doing? Well, they've been working to advance a policy. It's Board Policy 5145.31. It's religious or mental health related accommodations. So what it says is it explicitly affirms that access to bathrooms and locker rooms are consistent with the student's gender identity, but it offers girls two outs. Their outs to protect themselves from this are they either have to file a religious belief accommodation or file a mental health accommodation. So let's talk about why the parents are upset with this. Yes, if you are a religious person, like if you are Christian, I'm a Christian, we believe you are born male or female. God did not make any mistake the way he created you and knit you together in your mother's womb. But you do not have to be religious to say, I, as a 12-year-old girl, I, as a 13-year-old girl, do not want to change in a locker room with a male. I do not want to see a male with exposed genitalia in a locker room. I don't want to see a male undressing in my locker room. You do not have to be religious to know that's not safe, to know that's not fair, to know that girls deserve better. I mean, let's look at the fact that if there was a girl, if you had a daughter and she is undressing in her room and a male walks in and watches her undress or undresses next to her, what do we call that? We recognize that that is sexual assault and that's not okay. But if it happens to the girls in their locker rooms and their bathrooms at school, now it's all of a sudden okay because state law says so. So I just want to recognize how insane, how ridiculous that is. The other part, the mental health aspect. So now we're saying if a girl does not want to undress in a locker room because there is a male in there, she has to then say that she needs a mental health accommodation. So the girls that don't want to get undressed next to a male, they're the ones with the mental health issues. Interesting. Okay, got it. So what happened is the Temecula Valley School Board, they were pushing those options, yet it's 3v2 on the school board right now. So we actually have Dr. Joseph Pomorowski and Jen Wiersma who are doing a great job in standing in defense of the girls. They've tried to present different options. They're working to stand with the girls, stand behind the girls. They know that girls deserve their safe spaces. So this isn't just all of Temecula Valley School Board is bad, is pushing this on females. It is a 3-2, and I want to make that extremely clear. And so this is happening at the school board. The girls show up to school. There is a male that's been assigned to the girls' locker room. They give their parents a call, and you guys are going to hear all this directly from the girls themselves, so I don't want to get too much into that yet. But the girls decide enough is enough. They go speak up at the school board meeting. They then plan a walkout, and that is probably where you guys have seen a lot of videos from. This walkout had probably about 70 or so people on the side of protecting girls' spaces. We actually saw a lot of the middle school males come out and hold signs about protecting girls' spaces. They were wearing the Save Girls sports bracelets. We saw a bunch of the girls walk out of PE class, and they stood alongside with with each other and united in the fact that they want their safe spaces. Then, of course, there's people on the other side. We saw maybe a dozen people stand across the street from the middle school, and they were holding signs questioning why adults are so obsessed with kids' genitalia, which, of course, that's not the situation here. The adults on the correct side want to make sure that girls have their safe spaces. So we saw about a dozen adults on the other side. We didn't see any of the students from the middle school go stand with the people on the other side. And when students showed up to school that day, there was in front of the school, across the sidewalk, across the entire campus, there was a bunch of pro-trans ideology written on all of the sidewalks saying they're united with those who want boys and girls spaces. Like, let's lay it down. That's what the situation is here. And so we saw the crazy history teacher who made her comments.
Deserves equal protection under the law. I can stare too, because I know that I'm right. And I know you all are on the wrong side of history, the wrong side of history. And I know this because I teach it. You have nothing to say. That's right, because you have no defense. You are endangering children's lives by doing this. This is not making anybody's.
And we saw the students stand together, loud and proud. And the two girls, we saw Kylie and Brooklyn. These are the two girls that have been kind of leading the way at their middle school. They went to go speak at the school board. You see Brooklyn spoke and Kylie stood alongside with her. They're here today to share their story so you guys can hear what they're having to endure and what they really want. They just want their safe spaces. And so let's see what they had to say at the school board meeting, and then let's dive right into it with them and their mothers.
Hi, my name is Brooklyn Hendricks.
And I'm Kylie Wool, and we're both 8th grade students at James L. Day Middle School.
This year, we are both in a PE class with a biological male who is transitioning. We are young women and do not feel comfortable changing in front of a biological male. Everyone should feel comfortable and safe at school. Shouldn't be a thing. We should not have to claim we are mentally unstable or extremely religious to be accommodated for this reason. I ask you to rethink your decision and reevaluate this right now. Please rethink what you're doing. There has to be a better solution. There has to be something that is better than what this is stating right now. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome on. All the listeners are caught up about the craziness that has been happening, but I just want to say thank you guys for coming on and want you guys to be able to share your stories. So, Kylie and Brooklyn, you're in 8th grade and kind of been faced with something that 8th graders, first of all, shouldn't have to be faced with, but you then had to make a decision of, are we going to take a stand? Are we going to just allow this to happen? And I know that's also something as parents, you guys are probably thinking for your daughters too. But Kylie, you just kind of helped lead and went through a student and parent-led walkout at your school because you guys are saying we don't want to be in locker rooms and changing next to males. What made you decide that this was something you guys wanted to do, Kylie?
I just felt really uncomfortable with the situation and felt like something needed to be done about it.
It takes a lot of courage to do what you did. I don't know if you girls recognize how courageous you are and what it takes to do that. And Brooklyn, why did you want to kind of do this walkout and take a stand against the situation?
I just saw what was happening and I knew I was uncomfortable with it, so I knew other people must also be uncomfortable with it. They just didn't want to speak out. So in my mind, it was helping me defend all the girls in our city, our state, and just all over the country.
And you guys, again, kind of led the way on this. For this walkout, did you guys envision that all these other students were going to join you, were going to be on your side? Did you think we might be the only two people standing out here with our parents? Kylie, how did you feel about that? And were you shocked to see the great outcome?
I knew that some of the girls, I talked to some of them and I knew that they felt the same way, but I didn't think that many students would be with us on our side.
And Janae, we were kind of chatting before the walkout, trying to figure out how we can best be there for students. But as a mom, what has been going through your head hearing the news that the school board was pushing something and is still going to potentially push something that if your daughter doesn't want to be in a locker room with a male, she would either have to write down it's due to religious beliefs or mental health issues?
Right. I think that was our main concern, their privacy first. And then second of all, just being labeled as something like that when you're 13 years old, I would assume would be really hard for our daughters to probably digest. So I felt like we immediately had to get behind them and they wanted to speak up about it. And as parents, knowing that they're being faced with something like this, we had to jump right behind them, give them the encouragement to speak up, and just they led the way. We had no idea where this was going to take us. We had no idea that it could have just been the four of us, but we were really ready and willing to get behind our daughters and just give them the support to have the voice that they found on this topic.
And like you said, it could have been just the four of you guys, and yet there was probably 30 or so students out there, and even the boys, they were excited to be out there and to be protect girls, posters and signs and everything like that. And so, Chevis, same thing. As a mom, what was going through your head when you were like, this is the position my daughter is now in?
At first, it was just, she called us at school because she was having to change, eventually would be having to change next to a boy in the locker room who's transitioning. And this wasn't a religious thing for us or a political thing. It came down to her being comfortable and then hearing about the other girls being uncomfortable, the school not having their hands tied by the district and not being able to really accommodate anything without this creating policy the school board's trying to put into place. So then once I found out that the school board had put a policy on the next meeting to discuss that the girls have to claim mental illness, I just found it outrageous. So that's when we decided to, band together and go to the meeting, not knowing that Brooklyn was going to stand up and speak and that Kylie was going to be right with her. It was great to see the girls, stand up for their rights. And as a mom, I'm really proud that, you know, they both stood up for themselves.
And that's something I really want to emphasize to the people listening right now. This isn't a normal situation or a situation any girl should get put in. And the fact that that's what we're facing here in California, that's what we're facing right now at your guys' school, middle school in Temecula, is there is a male that is, like you said, going through this transition using the girl's space, but also just an emphasis that it doesn't matter if it's one, if there's 10, who it is. It just shouldn't be happening in the first place. And you girls deserve to have your rights and your safe spaces. And Brooklyn, you spoke at the school board meeting and did a phenomenal job. And have you done something like that before? Have you had to go speak to a school board or a city council or things? Or was this like, okay, I have to go do this?
I have spoken and done stuff in front of crowds before, but not to that extent. I was very uncomfortable. I was very nervous, but I knew that I would have Kylie with me and that it would just
doing the right thing.
Yeah, I was doing the right thing, and I would be making a change. So
yeah, and you definitely have. I mean, just from that school board meeting to where we're at today, you guys using your voices has really, I think, inspired people across the nation. I don't know if you guys have seen some of the posts online about the walkout, but there are people across the nation that are proud of you guys, that are encouraged by you guys. I know other females are now encouraged by the stand you guys are taking. But again, to the school board meeting, when you went to speak, what was your goal with that? Were you like, people need to hear the story, I want to see a change? What did you have in mind when you went to do that?
My goal of going up there was probably just to speak for not only myself, but for all the girls that are not comfortable speaking and feel uncomfortable as well. I wanted them to see that it's not just parents that are concerned about this, it's also us girls. So yeah, basically my main goal.
Again, I just really wanted to emphasize what's happening at the school board and people be aware that they're putting these girls potentially in the position to have to say, I don't want to undress next to a male or have a male in the girls' locker room because of my religious beliefs or because of a mental health issue. And religion aside, this is a safety issue. You guys are uncomfortable with this. And I really like, Chevis, that you said this isn't a political thing either. People are going to try to polarize it and make it this political thing, but at the end of the day, it is common sense that girls deserve safety to have private spaces. I know, Janae, you and I have kind of talked about this before. Like, it's already uncomfortable being in the locker room and unchanging in the locker room with your fellow female students. And so to add that layer in definitely makes things harder. But Janae, as a parent with this upcoming school board meeting that's going to be on Tuesday and the policy put in place, what are you hoping to see out of the Temecula Valley School Board?
Well, I believe that if this had been handled a few months prior, we had a few board members try to bring this to light and prevent it from coming to our front door. I believe that the change in the action should have been made a few months prior, and the board members that neglected to do so really failed our kids and all of the kids in general. Having something like this come to the front door of the locker room where our daughters had to experience it firsthand and then reach out to us as parents during school hours when we weren't with them, when we were there to really digest the situation and get it through a text was very difficult, I think, for any parent to receive something that their kid's uncomfortable at school. And I would like to see or make the awareness that if there was the potential proper handling of these policies previous couple months back, and if certain people didn't seem to kind of like get in the way of a solution, it would have never come to the front door of our daughters, and they would never have to be put in the situation to stand up for themselves in the moment, which they're 13 years old. I think that this is a matter that our school board failed us and our kids in preventing from bringing it to them. Now they've had to step up on their own behalf. They're involved. They have a voice. They're going to use it. And I think that the school board members really need to take note of the community and the consensus over the parents and how serious we're going to go for protecting our daughters and their rights. And we're not going anywhere. I think that this is a stance that we're ready to fight on, and our girls are leading the way, and we just need proper board members to provide for our kids.
If we wouldn't have had this situation happen to our girls, they would have passed this at the board meeting a couple of weeks ago, and none of us would have known about it until it came and we were actually required to either sign the mental health, the religious form, or forfeit PE and let our children get failing grades. Mm-hmm. So if this very situation had happened when it did, we never would even have known about it.
Would have been too late.
It's crazy.
And with that, was it just like, hey, we're hearing that there's going to be someone that is a male that's going to be in our locker room? How did that kind of, and Brooklyn, maybe if you want to kick that one off, how did that come to the front, your guys' door, and then you brought it to your parents?
It wasn't so much as someone telling us. When we were sat down trying to go get our locker assignments, we saw that this person was in our line instead of had gone with the male locker to go get like one of the male lockers. Mm-hmm. We saw that, we were like, oh, whoa, we are uncomfortable with this. We won't be wanting to do this. So then that's when we reached out to our parents and brought this to their attention.
It doesn't help that Brooklyn's locker is right next to the person who's transitioning. You know, she was extra uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm. And so when that happened, because that is, like you said, those locker rooms are already small as they are. You have your locker space. You're only changing right where your locker is because you're putting the stuff in, pulling it out. And so for you to get placed next to a male like that, I guess, Chavez, as a mom, what was it? A text you received during the day? Was it when Brooklyn got home from school? How did the situation play out on your end?
I got a phone call, and it was a panicked phone call that she was upset, and she was asking for her dad and I's help to try to resolve this. So I immediately picked up the phone and called the school and spoke to one of the administrators asking what the solutions were. That's kind of gone back and forth because, again, they have their hands tied with the school district and giving everyone fair rights. It's not just about girls being able to be comfortable. Everybody needs to be comfortable. But there has to be better solutions than what we've been offered. So that was where her dad and I had a conversation before she got home from school. And then when she got home, still visibly upset. And so we kind of went from there.
It's such a great point you make. Everyone deserves to feel comfortable, but it can't be at the rights and comfortability of other people. And so that's what these girls are facing. Their rights, their comfortableness are being sacrificed for someone else's. And that shouldn't be happening either. And it is unfortunate that the school didn't have a solution in place to just say, okay, this is what we're doing about it. It's also extremely unfortunate that the school wasn't telling you guys, that you guys didn't find out until, like you said, you got in the line for the locker room, and now you're right next door, sharing a locker, next door neighbor to a male. And I just think that's really important for any parent that's listening to this right now, to be talking with your kids, to be aware what's going on, because the school is not going to come running to you to let you know that this is happening, that this situation is going on. And unfortunately, it is happening in a lot of schools right now. But Kylie, have you had to change in the locker room with the male, or have you guys been able to remove yourself from that situation?
We've been able to remove ourselves. We came up with a solution to wait until he's exited the locker room to start changing, so we won't have to change next to him.
It takes away from PE time, and we basically have around total of 10 minutes out actually doing PE. Then you have to come back and wait for the rotation to come back. So that really does take away from our class time, and we can't get everything we need to in PE because this is taking so long.
Brooklyn, was this your guys' idea to say we're going to wait till he exits to go in? Was the teacher kind of leading that? How did that happen?
I think, I'm not exactly sure how it came about. It wasn't our idea, but it was about 15 girls that go in with us, and then smaller groups with the others. But it was not our idea. It came up, I think, through the school, the teachers. I think that was how that came up, but it was not our idea.
I got a text from Kylie in the locker room, and I was able to immediately have a conversation with the principal. I think it's important for the parents of students of California to understand that the laws, and I don't know much about it yet, I'm learning as I go, but when I called the principal and was just a concerned mom for this cause, saying my daughter just text messaged me from the locker room, the principal could not even confirm or deny that there was a biological male in the locker room with these girls. And so I think it's important for the parents to really understand how important it is to talk with your kids, how important it is to ask questions with your kids, and just have that dialogue between the two of you guys of like, well, what are your boundaries? What can you guys stand up for and stuff? Because if these girls would not have reached out to us, then the system would have just kept flowing and parents would not even know. And we would be finding out later that there was maybe an altercation or an incident that happened that made somebody extra uncomfortable. And now it's a bigger thing than it could have been when board members could have just solved this for our kids. And the thing is, he couldn't even confirm or deny that he still can't confirm or deny that there's a biological male. And I just think that, how is that for the parents? How is that for the kids? How are we supposed to protect our kids and create an environment where we're sending them to school 5 days out of the week, where we can trust the state of California with our kids and the ability to just send them to a safe, protected environment? I just really questioning the ability for them to provide that for us right now.
Absolutely. And like you said, that's for the parents listening, be talking with your kids, be aware of what is happening, because luckily you guys have evidently have a relationship in a space where they know they can come to you if situations like this happen. Some kids don't know, some kids aren't sure. And so parents need to be asking these questions. And unfortunately, I think sometimes it's a wake-up call to parents listening that they need to be having these conversations of if this does happen, because it's not just your guys' school. It's not just your school district, unfortunately, that is facing this. It is across California, and people need to be aware to what's going on. And Kylie, when you guys are at PE, and like you said, you change separately, and Brooklyn, you touched on that it takes away from your PE time. Kylie, did you guys get to decide which group you change with, or how did that come to be?
We kind of just waited until we saw him go into the locker rooms, and then a bunch of girls just waited with us. So it kind of saw itself.
Remember the principal gave you the 3 options?
Yeah, and we had 3 options to either wait till he was done changing. We could change in the nurse's office, or
In the bathroom.
or the bathroom. But we chose to wait outside because we thought that it was the girls' locker room, and that should be taken away from us.
Chevis, as a mom, you're getting told your daughter was given the 3 options to wait to go change in the nurse's office or in the bathroom. Are you sitting there like, why is my daughter now having to make these changes for someone else? What were you happy with those options? Where were you?
No, I thought it was kind of ridiculous. I think that the girls' locker room should be the girls' space to change and be able to go out in a timely manner to have PE and, do what they need to do for the day to be able to go back in and have enough time to change and get to their second period on time. I feel like that there should be a space for everyone, but maybe we need a male, female, and they, or there's space for everyone, whoever needs it or needs to feel comfortable. But that needs to be something the state of California implements in all schools, because this isn't just our school, this isn't just our district, and this isn't going away. So there needs to be some permanent changes put in place and things so everybody feels comfortable, because our kids shouldn't be having 10 minutes of PE when they have an hour long time to have PE.
Girls, do you know, is this just happening in the locker room, or is it happening in bathrooms during the school day too? Are you aware if that's happening?
I'm pretty sure he's allowed to go to the restroom in the girls' restroom too, and change in the girls' locker room.
And Brooklyn, how does that make you feel knowing that, hey, when I'm at school and if I'm going to the restroom during class, during lunch, things like that, there could be a male in the girls' restroom?
That makes me like really uncomfortable. Just the thought of um, walking into the restroom and seeing a male in the restroom with me. That's just something that I never thought I would have to witness or see. So that just the thought makes me
What do
uncomfortable.
you do? I told her that if she walks in and there's a male or anything that makes her uncomfortable in any space, to walk out and stand outside the door until the person has left, the situation resolved itself. And then if the teacher asks why it took her longer, she can tell them why, or she can tell them to call me. So that's our family modesty standards and her safe, space. Be able to use the restroom comfortably.
I just want to say to you girls, I am sorry that this is the situation that you are in, that you are put in a situation where you might have to leave the restroom because you're uncomfortable. And I want you guys to recognize that it's not okay and it's not normal. And I know you guys know that, but I just want to affirm you that you guys are doing the right thing, that it's not normal. And to any other girls listening right now, moms, parents listening right now, to know that this isn't the new normal. We're not just going to accept this. We're not just going to say, okay, I guess there's boys in our restroom now, and that it is okay to take a stand. And so are you guys planning to take a stand or speak at the school board meeting again this coming Tuesday? I guess I'll kick that off to you, Kylie. Are you planning to speak at it?
Yeah, I'm planning to go up with my mom.
Amazing. And Brooklyn, are you going to speak again, or what are you planning to do?
I am planning to speak again, and I also know a lot more girls from our school and from our district will be going to the board meeting and speaking.
Amazing. And with that, what has been going on at school? Do you feel like a lot of the girls are where you guys are at, being not okay and uncomfortable with the situation? Is it 50-50? Where do you kind of feel like it's leaning?
There's around 20 girls in our PE period, and I would say 15 of them stay with our group, go in with our group, and feel uncomfortable.
But overall, I think the school is very much on the side of making sure that the girls feel safe in their locker room. Mm-hmm. I think that's a general consensus.
And then after the walkout, so you guys did the walkout. Some students never even went to class in the beginning. They went straight to the walkout. Then everyone kind of went back to their class. Were people talking about it on campus that day? Were more people saying, oh, I wish I went? Or what was, I'm sure it had to be the talk of the town for at least a little bit after it happened. So Kylie, what was it like going back to class after that?
I just remember a lot of the girls when we were waiting, because we have first period PE. I remember a lot of the girls like waiting for it to be done, and everyone was talking about it, and they were all like proud of what they did, and I was really happy to see that.
At the walkout, there was bows given out to show as a sign of unity, and I saw all over the school those white bows all over hats, backpacks, jackets, shirts, and that was really great. I loved seeing that we were all coming together and just supporting this cause.
It's amazing. I know that must have been encouraging. And again, you guys are standing on the common sense side, on the reality, the biological truth side, and something that we've been doing for years, that no one's had a problem with the fact that we had male restrooms and female restrooms and male locker rooms and female locker rooms. This is nothing new. I just want to really emphasize to those people listening, I think there's people that have known that this is an issue that's popping up. People are seeing it more so when it comes to girls' sports. And so some people might be thinking, well, I don't play sports, or my daughter's not involved in sports, or my granddaughter's not involved in sports. But this is an example of how it's not just around that situation. It basically can happen to any female at this point. I mean, it's not just your guys' PE class, but like you're saying, it's any girl that happens to walk in a restroom and that male decides he identifies as a female, wants to use the female's restroom, and it is happening. And so, Brooklyn, what advice could you give to other girls that are maybe facing this at their schools and they're not sure, they might be scared to speak up or say anything? What could you share with them?
The advice I would give someone is reach out. Tell your parents, tell your guardians, tell the school administrators that you feel uncomfortable with this. Tell someone. And then I would also say reach out to the people in your community, reach out to other girls who may be in the same situation. I would say reach out to the board and who's trying to pass this, and just make sure people know, like, this is not normal and this is not something that should be happening.
Amazing. And Kylie, were you, obviously this is something that no one wants to have to speak up against or take a stand. You guys would rather just be able to go to class and have normal 8th grade lives and not be dealing with this. So when it was all kind of playing out, did you think, okay, I'm going to plan a student parent led walkout and I'm going to do something? Or were you scared and just kind of found the courage to do it?
I felt kind of nervous because I just turned 13 and I still want to be like a kid, but I knew that something needed to happen and that I could do something about it, so I didn't just want to stand there and wait. I wanted to be involved in it and make sure that something did happen.
Mm-hmm. That literally makes me want to cry and not just a pit in my stomach. I mean, this is the reality of what's happening. Like you said, you just turned 13. You just want to be a kid. You just want to have we're asking for the bare minimum. Can the girls have their safe spaces? Can the girls be safe when they're at school? And I think that's something that the adults that are allowing this to happen, and there's obviously so many layers to it. It's because of different state laws. There's school board ways school boards can get involved. There's so many different layers. There's not necessarily one adult to blame in this situation, but I think they need to wake up and recognize that you guys just want to be girls and want to go to school and want to be safe. So, Janae, as Kylie's mom, just hearing her say that, how does that make you feel? What are you thinking?
Honestly, it enrages me inside. I am very emotional, but I'm fuming on the inside because not only did the school board, the few that didn't handle this when it needed to be handled, brought it to my daughter's front door and in her personal space, they tried to label her. They tried to label all these girls, and it was a wake-up call in a sense for a parent like me. I mean, I have communication, we have conservative values. My daughter's modest and simple and quiet, and it's taking us to this point to get angry and to get protective over our children, to be able to do something for them about it. And we have to be able to bridge the gap. It seems like there's just a lot of room for the laws to prevent these kids from being protected, and the parents have to do something about it, and they have to really fight for their kids just to have the simple privacies, or their innocence is going to be stolen from them, and we can't have that happen. I mean, she's one of my most prized possessions, and I will do anything for my children. And if it's being called to get involved with the board, which I have no idea on how to do, I'm going to learn how to do it. I'm going to work with other moms. We're going to figure out how these girls are going to be accommodated correctly, and it's going to be done in the right way. And if that means that we have to keep speaking up until change is made a little higher, then we will. And we also want to bridge the gap for all kids in general. I mean, if you look at the fact that this was brought to the middle school period, all kids involved, all diversities, all walks of life, this whole situation has failed us all, because it's really put the kids in the core of having to be on the front line together in making it work. And there's just a lot of room for potential issue at school, in our middle schools. And that's not something that, as a parent, I can stand by and just let happen. I want to be proactive in making sure that those things don't happen to all parties involved. And we also don't want this message stolen from us. This is for all kids, and this is for the protection of privacy, period. And we just want our kids accommodated correctly without being labeled.
Absolutely. And Chevis, when the walkout was happening, it seemed like the students were on the side of protecting girls' spaces. That's the side we saw students come and stand with. And there was people there that were opposed to this and had signs, and, people, I think sometimes people turn the story that this is against someone or against something.
We're not against anyone. I mean, everybody deserves to have a safe space at school, a safe place to undress, to use the restroom. And I'm not saying that the person transitioning is dangerous or anything that such, or anybody who's, transitioning or feels more comfortable in one restroom than another. But there needs to be a safe space for everybody to use, where go to the restroom and change clothes where they feel comfortable, not just where the school board feels that, they should be allowed to, have males and females in the bathrooms, because that's a slippery slope, especially in the state of California. So there needs to be laws put into place now before this starts happening more and more. Or maybe, let's say there's boys that decide to put on a dress one day and walk into the girls' locker room, because that is actually could be allowed. They could be safe. They were, feeling like a woman that day. And where does that leave us? So at this point, we just need to make clear, firm laws about where everybody stands and how everybody can be safe and protected at school, feel comfortable.
Absolutely. And kids deserve to feel safe at school. And I think our laws are missing that message. I think sometimes the people in charge are not thinking about that and thinking about what they're actually doing and the effect it has. Like, this state law has been in place since 2013. And that's how long the door has been open for children to be harmed. Unfortunately, it's now coming to rise. But that's why I'm so grateful you guys are speaking out about this. People need to know that when I tell people this is happening, I'm not making it up. I'm not just saying it could happen. This is happening. It's happening to you guys, and it's happening to girls across the state. But with that, as we wrap up here, I would love to just let you guys share each a final thing. So Janae, we can kick off with you.
Yeah, I just feel, like I said a few minutes ago, like our kids were failed in this whole situation. And moving forward, what are we going to do to make sure that we have people on the board that are willing to work and be there for our children and for our safety and for their protection? I would never, ever want to see anybody think that proposing something like that policy is going to be acceptable in our community, period. You're not going to label our children with things that they are not. And it's just the audacity to have somebody present something like that and then almost retract it and not come with solutions. And just the way that the board meeting went was really disappointing, to be honest. It was so poorly ran, poorly organized. I mean, I do have to say that we feel seen by Dr. K and Jen through this. They've checked in on the girls. They've just made sure that they've really given the support in wherever the girls needed and feeling safe with moving through this. So we want to say thank you for that. The other board members have not reached out to our children. In fact, they're standing on the grounds of proposing this policy and trying to defend it, saying it's for parental rights, and it's just so disappointing. So I'm really hoping that our community stepping forward next Tuesday is going to show them that we're not going anywhere. We need to make a stand together for our children, with our children, And they need to start working for us in the ways that we need them to, which is protecting our kids first.
And I do want to also emphasize that, like you said, the board situation, it's a 3v2 right now. You have Dr. K and Jen Wiersma who have been standing with the girls. So there is hope that maybe the tide can turn. If one school board member decides to get on the right side as well. And so very proud and grateful that you guys are standing up for your community and all the girls. But Kylie, is there any message you want to leave the listeners?
I'm really thankful to have Dr. K and Ms. Wiersma on our side and supporting us, because it's not only a thing at our middle school, but it's around the whole nation, and it can get bigger than this. So I hope that we can stop it before there's a bigger cause.
Absolutely. In Brooklyn.
Just to add on to what Kylie said, this is not just in our district, in our school. This is happening or could be happening in any of the districts all across the nation. This is not just, oh, this could happen, let's prevent it before it starts. This is happening, and I encourage you to reach out to your kids, reach out to your parents if this is something that's happening to you, and stand up for yourself and your kids, because if they're uncomfortable, then you need to do something about it.
And two, I think it really goes to show that you guys going to your parents because you knew they would have your back. You knew that they would support you and stand with you. And so for other parents listening, to make sure that your kids are aware of that and know that you're willing to stand with them. And Chevis, any last words you want to leave?
I'd like to address the school board situation and just say that you have our attention. We will be watching, and we will be continuing to follow every single policy that's proposed going forward, because the thought that this actually could have gone through without parent knowledge and they thought this was a good idea is absolutely horrible and disgusting, and they should be ashamed of themselves. So I hope that they do the right thing on Tuesday, and they continue to realize that we're now watching everything that they do, and we will continue to.
Looking forward to seeing how Tuesday goes. No matter how it goes, knowing that there's going to be plenty of people on your side supporting you, and that whatever happens Tuesday is not the end all be all, that there's ways to continue to stand up and speak out. But just wanted to make sure your guys' story was able to be heard and known, and people could hear why you're standing up and making a difference. So I'm, again, just beyond proud of you girls for taking the stand and for doing what's right, and for you moms too. I mean, you drop off your kids at school and everything's going to be okay, and probably never thought you'd have to get familiar with what the school board is saying and doing. And so the fact that you guys said, all right, girls, we're behind you, we got you, and we're going to get involved, is as if you guys already don't have enough on your plates as moms and doing life and everything. So I just want to say, I'm proud of you. There are people across the nation that have heard and are hearing your story that are beyond proud of you all. And we will definitely stay in touch with all that happens. But thank you guys for coming on the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.